Okay, Abby, let's get to the mailbag. Where are we going?
Outside of Dylan Raiola, which player are you most intrigued to watch this year?
Carter Nelson, for sure.
Did you see him in the Chasing 3?
No.
So they went to Urban Air, the trampoline park, and they had this like American Gladiator like balance beam thing where you stand on it and you have like a stick and you're fighting, you're like stick fighting somebody. And it's really hard to stay balanced on this thing. And he took out like 7 dudes in a row.
He's a freak. And
like kept his balance the whole time.
He's an American Gladiator in addition to a football player. Now then couple that, piggyback, if you will, on Sean's comments, what Foley said today. Foley, Ed, the special teams coordinator, who said that he picked out Carter as an unsung player. He's going to play on special teams. I mean, which was sort of interesting that he said there's no thought of redshirting Carter Nelson.
No,
he's playing special teams. And he said he just immensely talented and has a knack for football, which is exactly what I would have said coming out of the Polynesian Bowl. Immensely talented, knack for football. He just knows what he's doing on a football field. And he happens to be 6'5", 225 and growing.
And he high jumped 7 feet.
Oh, that's no big deal.
I mean, he could jump over small buildings.
Yeah. And fight off people with sticks. So he's a special one.
You just see him running like there's barricades on the street. I just imagine he's like, I mean, this guy could
like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
What do you think? Who would you say, Rob?
Come
on, give me a good
one. Here it is. Look this is Carter on his American Gladiator balance beam. Just everybody's trying to take him down.
Oh God.
Beast. Well, look at the form these guys are doing.
Yeah.
Okay,
he's smiling while he does it.
And this little kid, he lets the kid beat him.
I want him to smoke this 10-year-old.
This thing could be just
he just like
smoked him.
All right.
Nice shot by that kid, by the way.
Pick a wide receiver for me. Banks, Nayor. But if I had to go with just one in that group, just from a pure dynamic X factor standpoint, I want to go Ja'Cory Barney. Because I think he can bring an element, not just to the receiver room, but the return game especially, that we haven't seen here in a long time. And so if he can kind of solidify one of those roles, kick and or punt, what could that do for Nebraska's, trying to find that next step to winning these close games? How much having a dynamic X factor like that in the return game, how much of a difference could that make?
He's got to win the job, though.
I know, he does. And he's in there. He's very much in there. But I think right now, he's a freshman going with some much more veteran players that they trust a whole lot more at both those spots.
Now, Deshaun Singleton's not a newcomer, but we got such a small sample size. I'm excited to see what a refined, healthy Singleton looks like game one.
Yeah, that's a great one. Mizuka's a good one, too. Newcomer that you wonder about.
That's a good one.
Should we talk about mean offensive linemen for another 10 minutes?
Yeah. Who are some others?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? There's a lot of players in this discussion that I think if I were a Nebraska fan, I'd be intrigued and excited to see.
All right, next question.
Okay, next one. Which position and or who do you think will wear the helmet communication on defense?
Well, on defense, I think it's John Bullock. I think he's been one of they call it the green dot.
Yeah.
They've been experimenting other guys between linebackers and safeties. Like Gifford's worn it in practice. So I agree. I think it's going to be the inside linebacker, but I think they could give it to somebody else in the middle of the defense is what you're looking at.
Abby, I would tell you this. It doesn't have a big
on defense.
It doesn't have a big impact, especially because of the preponderance of fast-paced offenses in college.
Well, they're going to play their fastest paced offense of the season, probably week 1.
Right. There's just not a lot of time for conversing in that scenario.
You might say, and when Scotty Walden's trying to run a snap in 14 seconds after the whistle, you might be able to say, watch this guy. And you're not going to have much time to say.
No. It has a limited impact on defense. Matt Rule has said that in very clear terms.
And it's loud. So when the black shirts are on the field on a crucial 3rd down, do you think they're going to be able to hear in the helmet?
That'd be hard. Yeah, it'd be hard.
I
don't know what that technology's like.
Is it like an ear thing in your ear, or is it just in the helmet and it's like
in the helmet?
It's like a headphone on your ear.
Yeah, it's like a speaker in the helmet.
It's made in Lincoln, by the way, the company.
Yep. Former Husker.
Next question.
Okay, what's the minimum number of games Nebraska has to win for you to consider this a successful season? Is a bowl game enough, or based on this schedule, is there a little more than that?
That's such a hard question because the season can turn with injuries and other things like last year. I mean, with the running backs and the receiver injuries and then the quarterback problems they dealt with, it changed everything. And they still somehow got to 5 by early November and couldn't get that 6th win. And I think about that all the time. If they would have got to 6 wins, yeah, that would have been great. But what if like Chuba Purdy or Heinrich Harburg looked good the last couple of games? Does Dylan Raiola even end up here?
Never thought of that.
So if it all works out with Raiola, that might have actually helped their case to open the job back up. But I would like to at least see 7.
Yeah, how about the floor is 7 for me because I think that's very attainable and
because
it should be. Well, because of the schedule and because of their defense and because of all the other pieces that they bring back. And if you assume your quarterback is anywhere remotely close to what you think he is, it's all set up. And anything below that, even if they get to 6, sure, it's a step in the right direction, but it doesn't feel great, with the opportunity they have in front of them. So I'll say 7 is the floor. If they get to 8, that is a big success in my mind.
That's a very reasonable take. That's the most reasonable thing you can say. I have noticed, however, that when I go around talk, if you say if you answer that question with 7, you get some thumbs down.
I got booed at Zipline.
Yeah,
you go full. You go full Bill Moose 2019.
Yeah, people don't like 7. Like when you answer the question that way.
Mm-hmm. I don't
want to
think
hear
people
more.
grasp though how hard it is to win 8 or 9 in the Big Ten now. It's a lot harder.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not. I know. I don't. It's you're kind of splitting hairs in a way when we all do it. 7's the baseline, but 8 would be great. I mean, I have kind of that way too. Let's face it. If they win 9, that would be very exciting.
I mean, it's like Big Ten Coach of the Year level.
If they win 9, they'd be in the playoff discussion in November.
In the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I just think I've said this to a lot of people I've talked to. I want to see 2 weeks of football. Give me 2. I mean, I know that's easy for anyone to say, but let's get 2 weeks of this, and then you're really going to know what kind of team this is.
2 weeks? You mean the first 2 games?
Yeah, the first 2 games.
Oh yeah. Good
I mean, it's so hard until we see it all kind of play out for 2 full games. You don't really, and then the rest of the Big Ten as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
100.
Final question, Abby Barmore.
Which movie or TV show do you quote the most?
This is where me and Rob just back off, right?
I mean, growing up,
The floor is yours, Sean.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off was like a big one for me.
You like that, huh?
I could say a few lines.
Give me an
Really?
example.
So the scene where Principal Rooney is calling
You like this movie?
Julie Bueller. I think it's Julie Bueller calls her to tell Ferris has been sick 9 times. 9 times. 9 times. I don't remember Ferris being sick 9 times. That's because he wasn't sick. He was skipping school. Wake up and smell the coffee, Mrs. Bueller. It's a fool's paradise. And Ferris is just leading you down the Primrose pathway.
Wow, Sean.
And then there's the restaurant scene.
What's the restaurant?
So they try to sneak into like a real fancy restaurant in
Who's
Chicago.
they?
Ferris Bueller, Cameron.
Have you
and
seen this movie?
His
No.
girlfriend. You've never. This is like a
What?
classic.
I've seen snippets of it.
You grew up in the 80s.
Yeah.
So they try to sneak in with a faulty reservation, and he looks at the book and sees Abe Froman, Party of 3, and he tells the snooty maitre d', Abe Froman, Party of 3. Abe, you're Abe Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago. Yep, that's me. And then he goes, he says back to Ferris Bueller, he goes, I think it's time you take the field trip back to the clubhouse before I get snooty. Snooty, snotty. So there's my Ferris Bueller.
Okay, is Ferris Bueller really a classic, or
Yes.
Gone with the Wind is a classic? Okay,
Simple.
Come on.
Titanic.
Put
is
in
a
your
classic.
2 weeks notice. And
Have you
start.
seen Titanic?
Things just aren't working out.
Have you watched the Titanic?
Snippets.
It's a classic.
I
Snippets.
mean, you know
Do you
what
watch
sight
movies?
line, like Step Brothers is a movie you cite lines from.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's a good one. For me,
Do it, Rob.
For me, like basically name an Adam Sandler movie, but I'll go with
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, more for me,
Do
Billy Madison.
Okay.
That Veronica Vaughn is one. I can't even say a lot of them on the air here, but
Fine
like,
people.
yes, of
Fine. Okay.
I know from experience, if you know what I mean. No, you don't.
Mrs. Lip.
No, not me, but a buddy of mine. Him and her got it off. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. But you can imagine what it'd be like if they did, huh? Everybody on the
This is my
bus.
favorite
Good,
question.
great,
Abby.
grand, wonderful. No yelling on the bus. All right, I'm done.
Abby,
Wow, this is incredible.
you asked.
Yeah, I
That was-
definitely
and
got
they
the
delivered.
answer.
What about you?
I can't do it. I
Come
can't
on.
do it. I don't do
Come
it. I don't think I can off the cuff. I don't think I can. Off
Well,
the
at least tell us a movie or a show. that
American
you quote a
Made.
lot.
I mean, I've watched American Made probably 10 times, but I don't recite lines from it because it's not that sort of movie. It's a great movie. Tom Cruise, he plays Barry Seal, who was a drug smuggler he was a TWA.
Escobar.
Yeah, he was a TWA pilot that turned drug smuggler. It's an incredible movie. I mean, it's really it's an American classic. If you're calling Bueller American classic first,
Well,
I'm calling American Made an American classic.
it's just one I cite from growing. I mean, I cite a lot of lines and
I think people will side with you guys on this, but I would not back down.
Office
can't-
Space is another one.
God, can't you name a serious movie?
No, not my MO.
Well, because it's not comedy.
Godfather.
Yeah, who quotes movies that are serious? That's not fun. You want funny movies.
like I'm not like gonna quote Gone with the Wind.
It'd be. I know you're not going to because you're not cultured.
Might be calling better help after I get off.
All right, that's enough. Wow, we get in trouble on these. Abby, ever notice that?
I thought this was a safe one, but apparently not.
No.
Turns out this was the breaking point. Sean and Sip's relationship.
Robert and I always cite "I Love You, Man."
Yeah,
It's a guy, Paul
Rudd.
Paul Rudd doesn't have friends, can't fill his wedding party, so he tries to recruit friends to become his.
He's going
groomsmen.
friend dates to try to make friends with guys, and he gets awkward all the time. And he has a fun time with the guy, and they're leaving. He's like, "All right, check you later, Jobin." It's like, "Did you just call me Jobin?" Yeah, I don't know what it means. It doesn't mean anything.
So for the last 15 years, Robin and I call each other Jobin. We just do it all the time. All the time.
Mm-hmm. It's taking on a life of its own.
It's pretty good. No, you guys that was sensational.